All right, everyone, it's about time. Please take your seats. The opening ceremony is about to begin. Regeneron ISEF, are you ready? On the count of three, everyone yell ISEF. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go!
Welcome to California, home of the movie magic of Hollywood, home of cutting-edge technology, groundbreaking research, home of vast agriculture, and the majestic redwood forests, and now home of Regeneron ISEF, where innovation meets inspiration, where lifelong connections are made, and ideas take flight. It's time to experience, transform, and discover. You've arrived at a place of endless possibilities. In California, the future is happening here. Prepare for launch.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The future is now. Good evening, and welcome to the Regeneron ISEF opening ceremony. Please welcome your host for the week, Barb Baker.
Woo! Good evening, everyone. Everyone looks so good today. Welcome to California, welcome to Los Angeles, and welcome to the opening ceremonies of the 2024 Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair. I'm Barb Baker, and I am so excited and honored to be your host this week. We have a great event planned to kickstart an unforgettable week here at Regeneron ISEF. But before we dive into tonight's program, let's give it up one more time for DJ Kara! Kara returns right here tomorrow night to DJ your student mixer. We have come together this week to celebrate the world's best and brightest young scientists and engineers and provide a truly global stage for showcasing your extraordinary STEM research projects. The International Science and Engineering Fair is a program of the Society for Science and is the world's largest science competition for high school students. Each year, millions of students around the world participate in a global network of local, regional, and national science fairs, where they are encouraged to explore their passion for scientific inquiry. But only a small fraction ultimately qualify for Regeneron ISEF, and that's you, this year's finalists. Congratulations to each of you on your accomplishments so far. For you, our esteemed Regeneron ISEF finalists, this week is all about opportunities. The opportunity to experience new things, network with the ISEF community of sponsors and supporting organizations, the opportunity to transform, engage, and share your ideas with your brilliant peers from around the world, the opportunity to discover new ideas and expand your perceptions through interactions with prominent STEM professionals, ISEF alumni, dedicated judges, and the army of volunteers who help to make this week possible. Now is a good time to meet someone devoted to ensuring those opportunities are possible. Maya Ashmera is the president and CEO of Society for Science and executive publisher of Science News. Prior to leading the society, Maya founded and led for 18 years the Global Fund for Children, which has invested nearly $60 million in innovative grassroots organizations serving vulnerable children and youth around the world, touching the lives of more than 10 million young people. She is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, an award-winning children's book author, and she has held several academic appointments at Duke University and Johns Hopkins University. Let's hear it for Maya Ashmera.
Thank you, Barb, and welcome everyone to the 2024 Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair here in Los Angeles, California. I am honored to represent Society for Science. The Society is best known for our award-winning journalism in Science News and Science News Explorers, our suite of STEM outreach programs, and our world-class science research competitions, the Thermo Fisher Scientific Junior Innovators Challenge, the Regeneron Science Talent Search, and of course, the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair. The Society has been producing the International Science and Engineering Fair since 1950. Over 70 years later, ISEF is the largest pre-collegiate STEM competition in the world. Today, there are over 1,700 high school students from 67 countries, regions, and territories competing for over $9 million in awards. This is our largest purse ever. Let's give a big round of applause to that. Everyone here is a testament to the importance of science research competitions in cultivating the next generation of great scientific and engineering leaders and trailblazers. But you want to know something? Science fairs, however, are not without their critics. In 2014, a fake science fair poster went viral on social media. How much turmoil does the science project cause families? Asked the poster. This person's conclusion: everyone hates the science fair. This happened not so long ago. Whoever created it really wanted to bring us down. But did it bring us down? No, of course not. We are all science fair fanatics here. Repeat after me. We are science fair.
We are science fair.
I don't hear you. One more time. One more time and loud. We know the power of scientific research competitions bring people together. Regeneron ISEF shows us that science has no borders, that science can happen anywhere, from American Samoa to Hungary to Mexico to Zimbabwe. Young people everywhere are harnessing the power of science to solve the world's most intractable problems. And we're not the only ones noticing. Most recently, Regeneron ISEF caught the attention of National Geographic, who created Science Fair, the series. Yeah. I take it most of you have watched it. Television critics have, and they love it. Directed by ISEF alumna Christina Costantini, who you will be hearing from later this week, Science Fair, the series, shows what Regeneron ISEF is all about: innovation, determination, and most importantly, community. Look around yourself right now. This is your community. You have found your people. Let's give a big round of applause to that. You and your fellow finalists are the future problem solvers, change makers, and leaders. But science is also a team sport. The students around you today might one day be your collaborators, business partners, and lifelong friends. This week, I encourage you to get to know someone from a different country and someone with research in a different field. Now, I'd like to take a moment to thank Regeneron for being the title sponsor of ISEF and extending its commitment for the next 5 years. Let's give them a big round of applause. We are proud to partner with this highly innovative biotech company and are thankful for their support of young scientists and engineers. I'd also like to thank our amazing sponsors whose support makes this week possible. I want to give a special shout out to our leading university partner this year, Caltech. And we cannot forget the judges and volunteers who've been working diligently to ensure that every detail of Regeneron ISEF results in one of the best weeks of your lives. Let's give a big thanks to our judges, our translators, our volunteers, and our local arrangement committee. Let's give them a big round of applause. And lastly, I'd like to give thanks to our affiliate fairs. Local fairs are at the forefront of getting students excited about science research, and without their tireless efforts, we would not be here today. So give a big round of applause to them, please. So this week, you will hear from some of the world's leading scientists. You will get to visit Universal Studios in Hollywood. And even speak with Dr. Jeanette Epps, an astronaut from the International Space Station. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be amazing. Take advantage of all Regeneron ISEF has to offer. Thank you, good luck, and have an excellent week.
Thank you, Maya, and thanks to Society for Science for everything you do in support of these incredible finalists. Next, I'd like to introduce another special guest. We are honored to be joined by the co-founder, board co-chair, president, and chief scientific officer of our title sponsor, Regeneron, Dr. George Yancopoulos. Regeneron is a leading biotechnology company that invents and develops life-transforming medicines for people with serious diseases, and is on the front lines developing treatments for eye diseases, allergic and inflammatory disease, cancer, and many other conditions. Regeneron is deeply invested in fostering the next generation of STEM talent to continue this legacy of scientific innovation and impact. Through their commitment to equity and science education, they support numerous programs ensuring as many talented kids as possible and their teachers have the resources necessary to pursue their passions for science. George is a member of the National Academy of Sciences and has served as Regeneron's lead inventor and drug developer since the company's inception over 35 years ago. Along with his team, he has invented 12 medicines approved in the US and/or other countries, as well as the underlying foundational technologies leading to these medicines. He has been pivotal in creating the science-driven culture at Regeneron, earning the company widespread recognition. Please welcome to the ISEF stage, Dr. George Yancopoulos.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here celebrating you, our Regeneron ISEF finalists. You are the young scientists, engineers, and inventors from all around the world who represent the brightest young minds of the next generation, with the potential to impact global challenges from disease and climate change to so much more. People often ask me why Regeneron invests so much in nurturing young talent like you. For example, we've committed over $150 million in partnership with Society for the Science for competitions like ISEF and the Regeneron Talent Search. The reason we do this is very close to my heart. Regeneron is the only large public company in America that was founded and still led by physician scientists, and that has a board of directors primarily composed of scientists. And we all remember how we became scientists. For both me and my fellow co-founder of Regeneron, Len Schleifer, we got our start by seeing incurable disease strike someone close to us and thinking that we should try to do something about it. And we were lucky enough to find mentors and programs like ISEF and STS that helped us along the way. In my case, growing up in a poor immigrant family in New York City, it was when I was 13 and my beloved grandmother, or Yaya, was struck by Alzheimer's. And I decided that I wanted to learn about science to save her. That led me to do a high school science project on regenerating neurons. For those of you who don't know it, Regeneron stands for regenerating neurons. So in some ways, I'm still working on my high school science project. It was that high school science project that gave me my start. And I was lucky that I had amazing teachers that helped me. I'll never forget Mrs. Strom and Mr. Schmuckler at the Bronx High School of Science. And I was lucky enough to have amazing experiences in science competitions like the ISEF and the Science Talent Search. And those experiences gave me the confidence that maybe I could make a life in science and make a difference. It's because we at Regeneron remember how we became scientists that we feel the obligation and responsibility to support the teachers, the mentors, and the programs that helped us to help engage and inspire the next generation, which is you guys. To me, it's an incredible full circle story that Regeneron now sponsors the high school competitions that helped inspire its own founders. And I hope each and every one of you will go forward and eventually get these sort of full circle stories yourselves, because you all have that incredible talent to make anything happen. Maybe to help you on your way a little bit before I close, I would like to share some keys to the kingdom that we learned during our time building Regeneron from the ground up. Over the last 10 years or so, many have said Regeneron has had the most impressive streak of drug discovery in the history of the biotech industry. You heard we invented 12 FDA-approved medicines for over 30 diseases, from the world's leading treatment to prevent blindness to the world's leading biologic for allergic diseases like asthma and atopic dermatitis, to innovative approaches for cancer, to a cure for Ebola, and hopefully soon what I've been working on for more than 50 years, delivering something for neurodegenerative diseases. But it didn't come easy. We almost ran out of money many times. We didn't get our first drug approval for over 20 years. We didn't become profitable for 25. And do you know what everybody was saying during all those years? Almost everybody on the outside were saying that we were a failure. They said that we were the perfect example for why you shouldn't put scientists in charge of a company. Because these scientists were doing things totally unlike any other company and therefore sure to fail. And that leads me to my 2 keys to the kingdom for you guys. First of all, challenge the truths that everyone believes in. Don't believe the science, challenge the science. And second, be willing to risk and endure failure. Think about it. If you're just doing something that everyone else believes in and thinks has a high chance of success, then you're not really going to change the world. Many of the greatest scientific breakthroughs have come from courageous individuals who are unafraid to challenge the status quo. And if you're questioning the scientific dogma and pushing new boundaries, you also have to realize you're probably not going to achieve immediate success. Only by pushing to the edge of failure and learning from it over and over again can you do things that have never been done before. Never forget Thomas Edison's words. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The story of Regeneron is a great example of challenging dogma and the way everybody else was doing things, and of relentlessly inventing new technologies to engineer around apparent terminal failures. And this approach ultimately delivered many breakthrough new medicines that have changed the practice of medicine. So tonight, as we're gathered here at what I truly hope and believe could be a defining point in your scientific journeys, remember, do not merely inherit the future. Go forth boldly to create it. Challenge everything. Push that edge further and further forward to the point of failure, and then learn from it. I'm counting on each and every one of you to change the world and to create a better future. Best of luck to each of you, and I'm looking forward to what you all will be accomplishing. Have a great week.
Thank you so much, George. The story of Regeneron can be an inspiration for all of us to challenge norms, invent new things, and create the future we want to live in. Our thanks to George and Regeneron for their support of ISEF and tomorrow's scientific heroes. Okay, now can I get a show of hands? I want to I want to take a little poll here. How many of you are competing at ISEF for the first time? Put your hands up. Oh, all right. Now I have another question. So let's see. How many of you are returning to ISEF for the second, third, or fourth time? All right. Well, I love that all of you are here, and I am so glad that you are here. Well, whether this is your first ISEF or not, I know you are going to have an unforgettable week here in LA. So Los Angeles hosted ISEF in 2011, 2014, and 2017. So it's great to be back again. There are so many fantastic events and experiences to be a part of while you're here. To highlight a few, let's first make sure to stop by Regeneron Way in the South Lobby to learn more about Regeneron and hear special messages from their employees from around the world. You can also hop in the 360 photo booth and share photos from the many cool Instagram moments. Right here tomorrow morning, you'll hear from an elite group of scientists and entrepreneurs at the Excellence in Science and Technology panel sponsored by Aramco. And the Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Impact panel presented by RISE. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then we have a very special downlink from the International Space Station. We will be joined live by NASA astronaut Dr. Jeanette Epps. I am so excited about that. That is super cool. Tomorrow night is the Student Mixer, sponsored by Caltech, and DJ Care will be back here in Hall A spinning tracks for a night of dancing. That'll be a ton of fun. There will be games and food in Hall B, and a chill zone in Petrie Hall. Then on Wednesday, we just got to Wednesday, after judging, it's your exclusive ISEF-only night at Universal Studios Hollywood. Wow, you folks have an action-packed week ahead of you. So be sure to check out the ISEF app for all the details. But let's come back to tonight. From entrepreneurs and inventors to Nobel laureates and educators, this week you joined the incredible network that is known as Society Alumni. Alumni of Society programs embodies the principles of STEM research, leadership, innovation, and global impact in their careers long after competing. And we are excited to introduce you to some of those remarkable people here tonight. This is our first of two exciting conversations with ISEF alumni. Please welcome back to the stage Mahesh Mehra, joined by ISEF alumni Silvana Konerman and Patrick Sue.
Thank you, Barb. I am thrilled to introduce two extraordinary alums sitting here with me tonight. Silvana Konerman. Silvana is an assistant professor of biochemistry at Stanford and co-founder and executive director and core investigator at ARC Institute. Silvana received her PhD at MIT and received her undergraduate degree at ETH Zurich in Switzerland, which is where she grew up. Silvana competed in ISEF in 2006. And we also welcome Patrick Sue, co-founder and core investigator at ARC Institute and assistant professor of bioengineering and Deb faculty fellow at University of California, Berkeley. Patrick received his PhD from Harvard University and his undergraduate degree from University of California, Berkeley. Patrick competed in ISEF in 2008. I'm so excited to be speaking to both of you today. So tell me, Silvana, how did your participation in ISEF impact your life?
That's a great question. Overall, I think science fairs, I started in my first science fair when I was 13. That was in Switzerland. That's where I grew up. And then kind of followed, just couldn't stop and followed. And 2 years later with another project. And that's the one that actually ended up getting me here to ISEF when I was 16 or 17. It was my first time in the US ever. And so, clearly had a big impact on me because now this is where I'm living permanently. And I just remember just being really, just impressed by everything that I saw here, all the other cool science that was going on and all the other scientists I got to meet and from all over the world. And so that was really inspiring for my future scientific career.
And I understand you met somebody today. Who did you meet?
Today.
Yes, you met your science team from...
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes,
that's right. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. Yes, I met a number of people already, but yes, just when I walked in here, I actually met my high school science teacher, who I was not expecting here, and she is now leading the delegation from Germany.
Let's give a big round of applause. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Patrick, how about you?
I have to say, first of all, thank you so much for having us back. It's a real pleasure to be here and see such an incredible next generation of amazing scientists. I'm excited to read your papers one day, or maybe already. Walking in here was just such an incredible flood of memories. Going to ISEF in Atlanta in 2008 was my very first time traveling without my parents, my first opportunity to talk in the real world about the research I'd been doing. And it really kind of solidified for me, going into science as a career, which I'd never really imagined. I don't come from a family with, professors and doctors, and, I was incredibly lucky to, get to work in a lab in high school, and that's taken me to where I am today. This has been an apprenticeship model. from the very beginning of science. And we get to connect to a very long line of scholars and educators and teachers. And you guys are joining that community this week.
So talking about the apprenticeship model, you're both proteges of Dr. Feng Zhang, a co-founder of CRISPR, an MIT professor at Broad Institute. Feng also competed in ISEF in 1998 and 1999. Many of these finalists are going to go on with their undergrads, but they're also going to go to graduate school. What was your graduate school experience like? Patrick, I'll start with you, and then Silvana.
Well, Silvana and I remember the world before CRISPR. It was actually, that was half of our PhDs. I actually met Feng in high school. He was still finishing his own PhD at Stanford after he had co-invented optogenetics, a technology for using light to control brain cells directly. And so when I joined his lab, Silvana was actually just in the bench over next to me. And we did a bunch of research together over the years, starting then and up through today. It was, Feng's bench was actually right next to mine. He was 28 years old. We worked side by side, and I remember he would basically go back to have dinner with his wife, come back at 10 p.m., do 96 mini preps, and then give them to me and say, "Go. These need to be ready for the 9 a.m. sequencing deadline."
How about you, Silvana?
Yeah, so I joined Feng's lab just 2 weeks after he had arrived at MIT. So it was really new. It was a brand new lab, just setting up. It was my first year during my PhD, and I was deciding which lab to join. And I just remembered the energy in the lab was really infectious. I think that was one of the things that was really compelling, and also he was just bursting with new ideas that were super exciting for me. And kind of there was this sense that the world was full of possibilities, the world of science. And so that was really inspiring to me.
So, just a quick question. Waffles or pancakes? Patrick?
So I recently tried on a continuous glucose monitor, and luckily I found that my blood sugar is extremely stable, so why not both?
How about you, Silvana?
Waffles.
Waffles?
Yes.
Okay. So before launching the ARC Institute, which we'll get into in a second, but you were both co-founders of FAST Grants, an initiative that provides rapid decisions on COVID-19 related grant applications. Why did you decide to create this unique funding mechanism? Was there a failure in the funding marketplace? And were there any lessons you learned at FAST Grants that influenced the ARC Institute? Silvana, I'll start with you.
Yeah, great question. So little known fact, just because of the sequence of how both became public, we were already working on ARC actually before COVID even started. So this was kind of already, percolating in the background. But then COVID hit, we, obviously both have a lot of faculty colleagues, and a lot of them are not working specifically on coronavirus in their day-to-day research. But most of them felt like actually, a lot of what I'm already doing in the lab, a lot of the techniques I'm using, the way that I'm kind of answering questions, I could actually apply that to answer questions about COVID and help kind of the world learn more about this disease and how we might be treating it. But there was this problem where, the scientists were, willing to jump on this new question, but the funding wasn't, right? The funding was slow. And so we wanted to kind of catch up to the speed of the science and support, scientists across that were kind of changing their whole research to help out and actually support them in those projects.
Patrick, anything to add on that?
So this was at a time during shelter in place, right? The very best scientists in the world who are supposed to help us get out of a global pandemic were just like you, sitting around at home twiddling their thumbs. We thought this is a real problem. So we raised $50 million and started a Google Forms application. 30 minutes, no preliminary data, just write what is your very best idea to help with the COVID pandemic. We thought we'd be funding some really incredibly underappreciated idea. From a place that, like places like Berkeley or Stanford should be flooded with money to work on this. But that wasn't the case. And we ended up funding some of the very best virologists, diagnostics, molecular technology development experts, and clinical trials experts to actually kind of help work on this problem. And this funding model, where we found instead of spending a year trying to get funding for your idea, which is how the NIH works today, but instead it can be a 30-minute online application where you get your money wired to you for your idea as quickly as your university could receive it, the quality of granting doesn't go down. If anything, it goes up. We ran a poll at the end of Fast Grants where we asked our scientists, listen, if you had all of your funding, but it wasn't allocated a year prior to specific ideas or projects, and you could just flexibly change it to work on anything that you wanted, how much would your research program change?
Huh.
And 80% of them said by a lot. Okay, so we thought this was kind of crazy, that 80% of the world's very best scientists self-rate that they're not working on their very best ideas. And that's part of the core thesis for what Silvana and I have been building at ARC.
So Silvana and Patrick, you're both co-founders of ARC Institute, which gives scientists no strings attached multi-year funding. Please tell us more about ARC and why the no strings attached element is so important. Silvana.
Yeah, so just following up on what Patrick was just saying, so the thing that's important to understand there is that it's not that we're changing the, in that question, that the amount wasn't changing, it was just the freedom, right? It's that scientists can spend the money that they have on what they think at any point in time is their best idea, their best experiments that could have the biggest impact. And just that's a different approach to how funding works most of the time these days. For you when you're kind of running your own lab at a university. Most of the time, you first have to pre-plan your experiment 5 years out, and then you may or may not get funding for that, right? But then you're kind of locked into something that is an old idea, essentially, right? So we think that science is changing rapidly all the time, and we think that scientists should be able to update the experiments that they're doing also on that pace, right? Whenever they think that there's a new discovery to be made, a new observation that they want to follow up on, right? You should be able to follow that kind of curiosity and intrinsic interest. And so that's kind of what ARC is all about. And what's important too is it's building community, right? We're not, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we have a big lab where everyone is, working together. And so we're also bringing together scientists with a variety of ideas and different types of scientific expertise to collaborate in ways that they might not otherwise.
And Patrick, anything to add?
So just so folks are all on the same page, ARC is a research institute. We're independent, but we're partnered with Stanford, Berkeley, and UCSF, and we bring together faculty from across the Bay Area and graduate students. We have 30 PhD students on site into our physical headquarters in Stanford Research Park in Palo Alto. And we fund these scientists to work on their very best ideas. Our overall mission is to try to understand and treat complex human diseases. These are the major killers: aging, Alzheimer's, cancer, and really unlock folks to be able to make breakthroughs working with the latest biotechnologies, both experimentally and computationally. We have a major AI effort in order to try to simulate human biology by training biological foundation models, where we can take transformer architectures that were, instead of training them on English text from the internet, where, these models seem to learn and reason. Instead, we can try to learn the language of evolution or the language of biology by training it on genomes, right? And so we recently released the world's most powerful genome foundation model, and are excited about turning biology into eventually what can become a predictive theoretical discipline, right? Biologists are very practical. We do something 3 times. We run a t-test, and then we tell you the answer. We want to make biology much more like physics, where you can win Nobel Prizes, where the experimentalists confirm your theories.
So ARC Institute emphasizes multidisciplinary collaboration to understand and address complex diseases. What advice would you give to these young scientists on how to foster partnerships across disciplines and avoid becoming siloed? And how do you think that the ARC Institute will change the research landscape?
Yeah, so I think generally it's really important, like you just heard, if you're trying to solve a big problem, right, usually there's only so much that you might know about how to tackle that. And you have one particular kind of way of thinking about the problem. You have some tools in your tool belt, some types of experiments you know how to do, but there's other people out there that might look at the problem in a different way, and they have different tools from you. And if you can really figure out, understand better, like what are the skills they have that I don't have, how are they looking at the question in a way that's really different and complementary to mine, I think that just gives you a much better shot to actually solve big questions, and that's what we think at ARC. And I mean, a big example of that is how we're bridging experimental biology and AI. Right? Oftentimes these are in different departments, right? Or maybe you dabble a little bit in kind of the other field, but it's really difficult to actually kind of be an expert at both as one person. So you kind of realize, okay, if I really want to do this seriously, bring these two together, I can't do it on my own. I have to actually kind of find a way to talk to and work with people from this really different discipline to kind of together understand each other well enough that we can actually work together effectively. And that's a big part of what we do at ARC.
So we have kids here across 22 categories, right? When you walk the hall, there's ample opportunity for kids in different disciplines to talk to each other and to really, imagine, right, to solve a problem. Patrick, do you have anything that you'd like to say too about
I think the biggest
siloing?
breakthroughs happen at the interfaces of fields, right? And traditional fields that used to be departments, like the Department of Biochemistry, the Department of Cell Biology, the Department of Computer Science, of Aerospace Engineering, et cetera, these traditional boundaries are blurring, right? And think about how you can convene deep domain experts across a variety of different areas to pick the right problems. Science and engineering is hard. No matter what you do, it's going to take you years to solve a fundamental problem. You should always be trying to pick the most important idea because the problem impact is totally inelastic.
So another quick question. Coffee or tea?
Matcha.
Matcha. Oh.
She's actually converted me. I used to drink coffee, but I think it was bad for people in my lab, so it would make me way too excitable. So, matcha has better pharmacokinetics.
Okay. With so many challenges in the world right now, what's keeping you, what's keeping you up? Climate change, pandemics, making sure your lab goes well? I'm curious, Silvana.
Yeah, I think for me, kind of my strength and maybe sometimes weakness too is I'm very focused. And I don't, once I've kind of picked something that I want to achieve, even if it was, 15, 20 years ago, I try to really stick with it until kind of I've either solved it or just been definitively proven that it cannot be done. And so for me, that has been how can we tackle complex disease, specifically a complex disease like Alzheimer's, which is what my lab also works on and which ARC also works on as kind of its first big disease project. And so for me, that's been keeping me up for quite a long time now. I think that's an example where we clearly have to bring together all these different disciplines to solve it, right? It's not realistic to solve it as a single lab or kind of with a single type of approach. And so I'm still just going at that problem. Yeah.
So my lab works at the interface of biology and AI. And I think there are generational opportunities to fundamentally change and improve the human experience in our lifetimes, all of our lifetimes, right? And I really sort of see that in three categories: synthetic biology, brain-machine interfaces, and robotics, as you sort of go from pure biology coded to pure computer science coded. And so lately I've been thinking about how we can accelerate biology to catch up or merge with AGI.
Robots or dinosaurs? Patrick.
Robots, 100%.
Silvana?
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, interesting.
I was really into, I had a dinosaur phase growing up. I was really into them, so yeah, can't.
We'll bring them back.
Okay. Patrick and Silvana, as you look out into this crowd of finalists, I'm sure you're filled with many memories. In fact, Silvana, I understand you met your husband, Patrick Collerson, who co-founded Stripe, at a science fair. I also heard that you beat him at the EU Young Scientist competition. What advice would you offer to young scientists and researchers competing in science fairs? And beyond aiming for an award, how can they take advantage of this unique opportunity? So we'll close it with that question. Silvana.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't just do science fairs. There were also these kind of week-long, actually kind of the Swiss version of kind of ISEF and the Society for Science. They also did this week-long kind of science retreats where you could go to a lab with a bunch of other students. And so for me, meeting all the other people from across the country or from across the world that were also as excited about science as me was always super inspiring. So I think for me, definitely the kind of the interpersonal connections, meeting like-minded people was always one of my favorite aspects of these. And so, yeah, I encourage you, obviously, you should win, but also you should talk to your other people and get to know them. And, you might make lifelong friends or maybe meet your future husband or wife. And so, yeah, don't overlook that.
Patrick, last word.
Don't give up. It's a marathon.
Keep talking.
Yeah. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. I think learning to think long term, work on the most important problems, and get to the end. I think if you stay at it, you keep pushing, and you bring the right people around you, you're going to unlock the secrets of nature. And that's really what we do here.
So I'd like to extend my thanks to Patrick and Silvana for this really insightful and thought-provoking conversation. I'm really confident that our audience appreciated the opportunity to learn more about your work and your professional journeys. Can you please give them a big round of applause, everyone? Big round of applause.
Thank you, Patrick and Silvana. We are grateful for your time and your continued support of ISEF. I know that ISEF is just getting underway, but yesterday we sent a camera crew out to meet some of you and to see what you've been up to these first few days here in LA. Society for Science's Kevin Easterly has been roaming the halls of the convention center as our man on the street to bring you this report. Let's take a look.
What's up, everybody? Kevin here at Regeneron ISEF 2024 in lovely Los Angeles, California. It's going to be an awesome week, and I'm ready to kick it off the funnest way I know, by meeting as many finalists as we can. So come on, follow me. Where are you from?
We're from the Philippines!
I'm from Puerto Rico.
Hi, I'm from Saudi Arabia.
I'm from Egypt.
We're from Thailand. We're from Bangkok.
We are from
Indonesia.
Texas!
Brazil!
From Malaysia.
Deutschland!
Zimbabwe!
Romania!
I'm from Macau, China.
I'm from Kuwait.
Australia!
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Oi, oi, oi!
Is this your first time at ISEF?
Well, it's my first time here at ISEF. We had over 200,000 applicants, but only 35 were selected to represent Saudi at ISEF this year.
Well, that's a lot of hard work. Welcome.
I've gone a couple of times before. I actually first started in middle school. Still really excited to be here.
It's my first time to ISEF and to America.
What do you think of Los Angeles so far?
It's the best city I've ever experienced.
I like the vibe,
I love Los Angeles. I was actually born in Hollywood. I was born to be a star, So it's good to be back home.
All right, so we're in Los Angeles. Would you rather go to the beach or to the mountains?
Ooh, that's a hard question. I'd have to say the beach. In Kentucky, we have no beaches, right?
If science were a movie, what movie would it be?
I think it would have to be anything from the Marvel universe. There's so many different types of movies, and it just all comes together.
Back to the Future, because I'm trying to take technology to the future.
I think it would be mystery, because there's a lot of things you don't know, and many things take you by surprise.
Fantasy movie with a lot of things going on, a lot of magic and things being created.
If you had to live the rest of your life as a non-human creature, what would you want to be?
Oh, eagle, for sure. Fast, can go anywhere, can eat anything.
Sugar glider, because those things have the most fun. I hope you guys know what sugar gliders are. They're the cutest animals ever. And like they just like soar through the air. Like I just want to do that.
Sometimes I wonder why I'm not a cat, but cats are really cool and I would love to be one.
I would personally love to be a cat because they're very like ferocious sometimes and they're very cute.
I'll be a tiger.
Why a tiger?
Because it's big and scary.
If you could meet one scientist from all throughout history, who would you want to meet and why?
Albert Einstein, mainly because his contributions were just so, like, crazy for the time period it came from.
I would want to meet Marie Curie because she's just a great inspiration, especially for women and girls in the field.
I would want to meet Stephen Hawking. He was really smart, but the thing that I liked most about him that he was really funny.
I'm just saying this because I'm taking AP Physics 1 right now, but I have to say Newton because I have to ask how an apple made him understand everything about the world.
What are we most excited about this week?
I am excited to actually present my project to the beautiful judges and also interact with the most intelligent people in the world.
I think there are amazing projects from a lot of different categories, and I just want to learn what other people are doing.
I think I'm really looking forward to seeing people from all over the world and just getting to see their super cool research.
Especially excited for the Pin Exchange tonight. We'll be able to wear our traditional costumes, sharing our culture to people all around the world. So that is what excites me the most.
It's been an absolute blast meeting so many of the finalists. Regeneron ISEF Week is still just getting started. So everyone have a great week, good luck, and most importantly, let's have some fun.
Thanks for the good work, Kevin. It looks like you guys had a great time meeting some of this year's finalists from all around the world. We've got to see a few of you in action just now, but I encourage all of you to engage with each other and the rest of the world too, so they can learn what ISEF is all about. So share your photos and your experiences online using #RegeneronISEF. You can also follow the Society on Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. I have no doubt you'll have more to post as we welcome 2 more extraordinary ISEF alums to the stage. We're excited to present this conversation on entrepreneurship. Please welcome back Maya Ajmera, along with Society alums Afton Vetri and Gideon Yu.
All right, hold on, we've got to do a selfie here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, should we? Maya, we
All
gotta
right,
do the.
We're here.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Woo!
Hey, where's the South Korea crew at? How about Tennessee? Is there Tennessee in here? 2 people? We need more. We need more than 2 people from Tennessee.
So I am really looking forward to speaking with 2 more ISEF alumni who've taken their interest in science and technology in a different and more business-focused direction. Afton Vetri started her first company based on her 2005 ISEF Science Fair project, and more recently, she founded Modern Fertility, which she sold in 2021. Prior to Modern Fertility, Afton led strategy and operations at various health tech startups, including leading the consumer tools division at 23andMe. Now she's working on her next company in the women's health space. Afton studied neuroscience and business at Wake Forest University, and she's a 2005 ISEF alum. I'm also pleased to introduce Gideon Yu, co-owner and former president of the San Francisco 49ers. Gideon holds the distinction of being the first president of color of any team in the history of the National Football League. Previously, Gideon was CFO of both Facebook and YouTube, and he was also a founding investor in Square. Gideon earned his BS in Industrial Engineering from Stanford University and his MBA from Harvard Business School. Gideon is a 1989 ISEF alum, and both Afton and Gideon serve on the Society for Science Board of Trustees. So let's welcome them. Let's do a warm welcome. So, Afton, in a few words, how do you feel about being back at ISEF?
Oh my gosh, well, first word that comes to mind is just grateful. I'm just taking it all in. It feels so good to be back. And the second, I live in LA now, and I was driving here and reflecting on my own ISEF experience, and I really think it was one of the most impactful experiences I had in my life. It set my life on an entirely different trajectory, and I am just so inspired to be here on this stage with all of you.
And Gideon, you have a great story to share with the audience. Tell us the story.
I do. But first, I'm honored to be here with you, Afton, and thank you for inviting me, Maya. Okay, I'm going to tell the story from 1989 ISEF of my very best buddy. This guy's name is Willie. He was from Puerto Rico. Where's Puerto Rico? I love Puerto Rico. Okay, so here's what happened. So here's my project that I worked 3 long, hard years of my life on. And so I came here to ISEF to compete, straight up. There was all these fun things. I skipped them so I could prep. And my guess is that at the very least, some of you are thinking the exact same way. I'm here to try to talk you out of that, just like Willie did. As you will find out, during judging, there's lots of downtime. And Willie was right next to me. And he would try to crack jokes, kind of get me to smile. Hey, G-Man, hey, it's all good, man. Like smile or something, man. And what I'd say is when it was all said and done, both of us did just fine, actually quite great with the results, but he had a fabulous time. And then on the other hand, I probably could have been a little bit more present. So I want to just share with all the finalists in the room the same advice that I give to my friends on the eve of their wedding nights, which is just getting here is the win, right? That is fabulous. Get to know some of your fellow finalists. Maybe, if you're lucky, look around, learn a new thing or two. There's so many great things to learn at this place. At the very least, though, savor the moment. Be more like Willie from Puerto Rico.
You both bring a business and entrepreneurship approach to STEM. Why do you think it's beneficial to combine a business acumen and STEM knowledge? And Afton, I think you have a story to share with this.
I do. So I actually started a company coming out of my ISEF Science Fair project back in 2005. And so I grew up in rural Maryland. Do we have anyone from Maryland here? Yeah? Wonderful. So in Maryland, it was rural Maryland. So that'll come up in a second. So I remember it's my freshman year. I walked out of a class during the day, and I noticed that all of the water fountains in our school had red tape, do not consume on all of them. And so I asked my teacher, what's going on? And they said that our rural Maryland water test had failed. And that's because in our part of the state, we had to consume, or everything was from wells in the ground as opposed to a public water facility. And so for my science fair project that year, I realized that at home we had never gotten our water tested. And so I tested a bunch of wells and I found that about 20% of them were just completely contaminated. And so my science fair teacher at the end of that project came up to me and said, Afton, there's this thing called ISEF. And if you work really, really, really hard, you might have a shot of competing there next year. And so that is exactly what I did. I worked really, really, really hard to get to where all of you are sitting right now. And I was just so excited to be there. We'll come back to that, I'm sure, in the questions. But I was so excited about my findings in that project. I found that if you had a contaminated well, wells in close proximity had this higher risk of being contaminated. And so I set up a meeting with the Department of Environmental Health in my community. And instead of matching my excitement about my findings, they threatened a lawsuit against my family. This did not bode well for some of the upcoming construction projects that they had planned. And so I was just shocked by that meeting, went to ISEF, had an incredible time, but realized at the end of ISEF that if I didn't do anything about my project, that's where it would end. So I decided to start a water quality testing company based on my project, and I realized that the scientific method to go about a science fair project was actually quite similar to starting a company. I ran tests I scaled hypotheses, and I built a company, and I learned that my favorite part of the scientific process was not only the discovery, but scaling it to people everywhere. And that is where I have spent the majority of my career since.
So, quick question. Yeah. Gideon, waffles or pancakes?
Oh boy. No question. Well, are they crispy waffles? Then yes, waffles.
Oh gosh, I'm going to have to go pancakes.
Oh.
All right. I'm going to put this question to you, Gideon. Early in your career, you were CFO of Facebook and YouTube, now a VC and investor in some really amazing companies like Square. You've had a front row seat in the technology sector. What do you think we can expect in the coming years?
All right. On the one hand, the manipulation and misinformation that's on these platforms, in my humble opinion, is literally tearing the society's fabric apart, and that's no good. Thank you. On the other hand, there are lots of economic incentives, adverse economic incentives, for the badness to continue. And a lot of times, completely unchecked. I think, Maya, that we're due for a reckoning. And in my humble opinion, it can't happen fast enough.
Okay. Yeah. Afton, your first experience with fertility tech was as a co-founder of Modern Fertility. Tell us about Modern Fertility and why fertility tech has been overlooked.
So my experience and really the idea for Modern Fertility came in my first job out of school when I was working at a healthcare investment fund. And as part of that fund, I had to do due diligence in a lot of different sectors, but one of them happened to be women's health and fertility. And so I remember as a part of that process, I actually had to go into infertility clinics and start talking to these women. And I remember having these conversations and realizing that these women, these executives in New York City at the time, just hadn't had the education, hadn't had the conversations. The system, the healthcare system, the education system had just totally failed them. And I remember just being so impacted by that experience and those conversations. And so years later, I was working at 23andMe, and I realized that I was waiting until later in life to start my own family, and I really hadn't been thinking a lot about my own body. And so I remembered these laboratory tests that I had learned about back in my investment days, and I tried to go get them done, to just have more of an understanding of what was going on. And my OBGYN said, no, you're not actively trying and failing to conceive. I'm not going to order you these tests. So I had to go to a specialist, got all of the information I needed, had this amazing conversation and information about my own body to make the decisions that were right for me. But I got a bill in the mail for $1,500. And so again, back to understanding the system, but talking to my friends about it, I eventually had friends of friends, and then hundreds of women asking me how they could get these tests and how they could learn more about their own bodies. And that was the start of Modern Fertility. We validated that these same laboratory tests could be done at home, published our results, and then dozens more in top journals across the country, and then expanded to a whole suite of products in major retailers across the country. But when I think about why areas of women's health and fertility has been overlooked, I get a lot of hope by looking out to this room, and it's really because every single person here has the ability to look at these problems as a scientist and demand that a better solution exists in the world, to not accept the status quo, to question the status quo, to question how you experience healthcare and education, and create that change that you want to see in the world. And again, that is just why I am so inspired to be back here today.
So, Gideon, staycation or vacation?
Oh, staycation, no question about it.
Afton?
Oh, I'm vacation all the way, world travel.
Really interesting, okay.
We are fundamentally incompatible so far.
yeah, it's...
Gideon, as former president of the San Francisco 49ers, you've made historic investments in Levi Stadium and have seen the team through 3 consecutive championship games and a Super Bowl. What makes professional sports an exciting space for innovation?
We still haven't won the big one yet, by the way. I'm trying my hardest for those of you fans out there. Look, the ultimate social network, if you think about it, is this. It's people sharing experiences in real life, right? As my 11-year-old daughter says, IRL. You think about it, where else do you have 100,000 people screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs, right? And you end up high-fiving or hugging the person next to you, total stranger, right? Just because you're cheering for the same team. Or you're booing at somebody because they're on the opposite team, and at the end of the day, you're all good with them. That is the last bastion of, in my opinion, just pure awesomeness that exists in society. I would say this, though. The engagement metrics and economics that are inherent in those situations are totally off the charts, right? So in my humble opinion, from that perspective, it makes a lot of sense that it is ripe for innovation. I would say this, though. We've only scratched the surface for innovation for those types of settings. And hopefully there are some people in the audience that will bring real innovation to that. We're far from it.
Afton, you believe that women's healthcare is a key space for innovation. Certainly you've done that in the fertility tech space, which is part of women's healthcare. What are you hoping to see in this sector in the coming years?
I am hoping to see a lot in this sector in the coming years. You know, when I reflect back on the infertility space, when we started modern fertility, and I think about even 10 years ago, the conversations about fertility and infertility versus the conversations we have now, it is so much better. It is less stigmatized. We are having coverage for it at major corporations across the US. And I think that every generation of people that are experiencing problems in healthcare have the opportunity to just up the status quo. I recently heard the word, I'm a millennial, and so now that millennials have gone through the infertility phases, what's going to happen when they go through menopause? It's the millennial pause era, and we can just reinvent that era and demand new solutions as well. And so I am just so excited to see what this generation of scientists reimagines and demands more of around every single part of healthcare. And I think women's health especially just needs a lot more attention.
It seems like every industry is having an AI conversation right now. Our two panelists beforehand are using AI in biology in an extraordinary way. What do you two see as the greatest advantages of this technology, and what do you think are the greatest drawbacks? Gideon?
Oh, me? You know, it feels like every conversation I have, whether it be with my buddies or at business or anything, has AI involved in it. So I'll spare rehashing a bunch of arguments, but I will say this: I'll offer up a potential interesting take here, which people may find to be funny. Is I think in a lot of ways AI is underhyped, right? And let me explain why. So. I was the CFO of YouTube in the really early days, and we went from a standing start to about 400 million daily video views, in about 2 years. Quick math, what is the compound daily growth rate there? It's about 2.5% to 3%, right? In so many ways, the estimates are that the daily growth rate of AI technology is faster than that. So if you think about whether you're on the side of AI is not all that, I see all the stuff that they're doing, it's not that great, or you see it as this is crazy, what you got to think about is that AI at that kind of growth rate daily, and we see this in real life with a lot of the platforms that we're all on and that we were part of building, you're going to see AI millions of times better and more advanced next year, and maybe even tens of millions of times more advanced. And so from a lot of perspectives, in my humble opinion, it's impossible, no matter how smart you are, how much you think about it, it's impossible to fathom where this is going. And as a result, you should just try to think about how you brace yourself and how you plan your business around something that will be millions of times better.
How about you, Afton? What's your thought?
I think we finally found something we agree on. Not waffles, not
Yes.
pancakes, but AI.
AI,
So I think you summed it up. I think that it is impossible for anyone in this room to imagine where we're going to be next year and 5 years with AI. I think change and technology is just the one consistent that we will all have for the rest of our lives, and embracing that and really thinking deeply about how we can use it in every part of our lives for the better. It's what I do in my personal life, it's what I do in my work, and I think that approach is just the one that we have to take.
100%.
Summer or winter, Gideon?
Winter, no question.
Absolutely summer.
Of
no,
course.
No question.
That's the way it goes. Hey, we have AI at least. We have AI. It's
You have AI at
the
least.
important stuff.
As we close up, what words of wisdom would you give the finalists here tonight? Afton, I'll start with you.
You know, I really just had the absolute best time when I was at ISEF. I remember thinking for the first time I had found my people. I just felt totally at home, talking about science, talking about people for the first time that were just as excited about science as I was. And I think my words of wisdom, just look around. Just realize that every single person here wants to meet you. And this is just such a fun place to meet other people from around the world and just be open, take it all in, and just have so much fun. Congratulations, you made it.
Amazing. What she said, that was awesome. In addition to that, here's what I'd say. You know, it's funny, I'm old, but then when I look at you guys, I think to myself that, like, I feel like the same age. I feel like yesterday I remember being in the audience. You're going to blink, and you're going to be me at this age, and it will feel like that tomorrow. No, you don't want this much gray hair, though. I appreciate the applause. That's nice. But look, in all seriousness, whether it be pandemics, whether it be climate change, whether it be CO2 in the air, the only way we solve these problems, these fundamental big problems, is with science and innovation. That's the only way. And you people in this room right now, especially you finalists, you're the tip of that spear. With the brain power that we have in this room, right? Think about this. With the brain power that we have in this room, we got this. Especially as you learn how to collaborate, work together, share information, share resources, share talents. The future then becomes in great hands. But it really is, you got to understand the responsibility, in my humble opinion, that you all have as the tip of that spear.
Well said.
So thank you, Gideon and Afton, for sharing your experiences and insights with us today. It has been an enlightening and inspiring conversation. What a pleasure to take part in a discussion with such talented entrepreneurs. Thank you. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Thanks, Maya.
You're awesome. Oh, yes, thank you.
Let's go.
All right, back to you.
Yep.
Thanks again, Maya, and a big thanks to Afton and Gideon. We are immensely grateful to you for sharing your time and insights. Okay, next I want to turn our attention back to you, our ISEF finalists. I heard you had a great time at the Pen Exchange last night. Am I right? You had a great time? Many of you had the chance to walk the blue carpet wearing your finest threads representing your home country or region. Usually this event is just for finalists, but since we're here in Los Angeles, our camera crew got to film the fun and showcase all of you ISEF stars in true Hollywood style. So now we'd like to share a glimpse of this year's diverse and global Regeneron ISEF community and introduce you to some of those stars we caught up with last night. Let's take a look.
Welcome to ISEF's time-honored tradition, the Pen Exchange, where finalists from all over the world exchange pins representing their home countries, states, and fairs. At ISEF, nearly 1,700 high school students from 67 countries, regions, and territories take center stage, showcasing not only their incredible talents, but also the rich tapestry of their cultures. The blue carpet isn't just a walkway. It's a celebration of the world's bright future as Hollywood welcomes the STEM stars of tomorrow. Diverse, talented, determined, and ready to make a mark on the world. This is a night of joy, glamour, culture, and unity. ISEF's blue carpet has never shone brighter as these international finalists steal the spotlight, proving that the future is a mosaic of colors, textures, and dreams.
That was awesome. What a great event. Everybody had a great time, right? It is amazing to see this global ISEF community shining just as bright as the stars in Hollywood. Okay, before we close our program, just a few last-minute important mentions and reminders. The final list of project infractions will be posted at registration outside the exhibit halls on the Society website. Regeneron Way is open in South Lobby through Thursday. If you haven't already, you can purchase Regeneron ISEF gear at the retail store in Hall H through Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, all finalists should head to the Finalist Hall from 8:30 to 10 for an opportunity to meet with VIPs. Don't forget tomorrow's session here in Hall A. The Excellence in Science and Technology panel at 10:30 a.m., the Innovation, Entrepreneurship, and Impact panel at 11:30 a.m., and then a very special conversation with NASA astronaut Dr. Jeanette Epps aboard the International Space Station. You folks know I'm really excited about that. I'll tell you over and over again. And tomorrow night, it's the Student Mixer sponsored by Caltech right here with LA's own DJ Kara. The doors open at 7 p.m. Check the ISEF app for details on these and all the other great events this week. Stay current and be social. Share your ISEF experience with friends and family back home, and please keep posting with hashtag RegeneronISEF. Thanks to tonight's speakers, Maya Ajmera and Dr. George Yankopoulos, as well as our alumni guests, Patrick Sue, Silvana Konerman, Afton Vetchery, and Gideon Yu. Our tremendous gratitude to Regeneron and our entire sponsor community for making this week and the whole ISEF experience possible for our finalists. Finally, a huge congratulations to each and every one of you finalists here tonight. You are tomorrow's STEM visionaries, and we are so excited by the endless opportunities and possibilities your future holds. Have a great week at Regeneron ISEF, and I look forward to seeing all of you again here tomorrow. And now, DJ Kara, send us home.